TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zimet, your State Farm Insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zimet and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. And welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed, podcast number 52. As we're talking to Rhonda Henke, Rhonda is running actually for the Republican seat for the DeKalb County Board District number 1. She's the incumbent, and we welcome Rhonda. Rhonda, how you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. We're sharing a microphone here. We're in the DeKalb Library, so we're forced to share a microphone here. But Rhonda, it was really interesting to find out, do some research on you. Let's point out to people, District 1 includes Malta, South Grove, Franklin, Mayfield, and Kingston Townships, right?
Correct.
Now, how do you get around? Are you able to get around and see all the folks there? How do you do that?
I try. It's not easy. It's rural. So it's not as easy as being able to walk a precinct in town. But I do try to get around as much as I can, and I participate in the local parades and fairs.
Okay.
So I am visible. My name is pretty well known in the area, or at least my husband's family's name is pretty well known in the area, so that does help a little.
Now, you were a farmer, is that right? A retired farmer?
Yeah, my husband, his family had a very large farm in Clare. We raised cattle and hogs, and after a death in the family, they downsized and just ran grain,
Okay.
corn and soybeans. But for many, many, many years, we had an incredibly large hog operation, and we raised beef cattle.
Oh, gosh. So you're familiar with hard work, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know where the farmers are coming from when they're talking about something, right?
Yes, I do. My heart really belongs to the farmers of my community. I love them. I love the life that the farm allows you to have. I think it's a great experience. I know there are many benefits of living in town, but I really, really enjoy farm life.
That's great. That's great. Now, I want to read, this is when you ran in 2024 here. There was a nice statement here on our email. You have an outstanding county board member in Clare, Illinois, Rhonda Henke. Am I saying it right? Henke, right?
Correct.
Who has stepped forward when Brad Bellinger stepped away. So tell us about when Brad stepped away and how did you step into that position? And by the way, she's very clever. She's a thoughtful representative and serves as one of the board's representatives of the Nursing Home Oversight Board as well. What you're talking about, you were endorsed by the DeKalb County Farm Bureau?
Correct.
This time around again as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Farm Bureau political arm,
Okay.
I was endorsed.
All right.
Brad Bellinger was a true hero in the community. He was a firefighter for greater than 20 years. He, unfortunately, when he was successful as being elected for the county board, right after that, he found out he had cancer. It was not a good outcome.
Oh, okay.
And as a friend, I knew him quite well. And as a friend, I was asked by other area members to be caucused in.
Okay.
I can't claim that I replaced him because that would be disingenuous. I did step into the role. I could never be a replacement for him, but I have strived to make him proud.
Tell us about that night that you were deciding to do this, whether you're going to do this. Because that was quite a commitment for you to say, all right, I'll do this now.
It is. It's not a task that you jump into lightly. I have a very deep love of the DeKalb County Nursing Home. I worked there for many years.
Okay.
I was a night nurse, and I really, really, really love that facility. I saw that she was struggling, and I wanted to be a part of ensuring that she was, the county home was a
I love
vital,
refer to it as she. That's great.
vital, important role in our community. It benefits some of our most needy.
I'm going to ask you about that later on too. But I was wondering now, did you hold an elected office before 2024?
No. Well, I'm a precinct committeeman, and I have been for greater than 20 years, but that was the only political office that I ever
Okay.
held.
And why run? Why run now in this time? Was it just as a tribute to Brad, or then now the second time around, you obviously feel an obligation, or why?
I have things left unfinished.
Okay.
The county nursing home is, although the finances are improving and the home is thriving, I want to be a part of the final and best solution and create an environment where that home remains vital and remains current and remains open to the betterment of our community.
Well, I was one of those people that questioned the numbers and everything. But when they added on the rehab center there, I was out there with the radio station at the time, and I met the people that work there and the people that live there, and the passion, I just couldn't believe it, that there was no question that we should not get rid of this place. And
Right.
obviously, you have that. You lived it.
Yeah,
That passion.
I that is really my greatest passion. I also am a firm believer that county government and county things that come up in the county should be controlled by the county. I do not believe that the state should assume that they know better how to govern rural counties. There are so many different ideas and problems that every single township and every single county has in the state. There is no way to have a one-size-fits-all regulation for zoning, especially when it comes to wind and solar, and that is very important to me.
No, very good. Well put, too. There's a question I asked the other candidates, too, is there's 24 members on the DeKalb County Board. Is that too many? Is that too many to work successfully? Can you guys work together
Yeah.
with 24 people?
You know, that's a really good question because before I came onto the board, or before I really started working with the board, I worked for several years with Brad and other concerned members of the community to craft a well-regulated ordinance for wind and solar. And before that happened, I would have thought that same thing, that
Okay.
24 was too many. Surprisingly, it really works well. I feel it really works well. I've had some really interesting talks and agreements with members from both sides.
I was going to say, does partisanship come up often? Or?
No, not really. I mean, it does. There are certain things that are very partisan. That falls obviously when it comes to selecting chairmans and who's going to head what committee and so forth. But overall, it's pretty much for the betterment of the county and its residents. There are a few that, strictly go one way or the other, but the vast majority, I'm proud to say that we collectively look at what's best for the county.
I love it. They say think globally and act locally, and that's what you're doing. You're acting locally. It's great to see that. So now, back in 2024, you won handily over Fred Hall. How was it different this time when you're running? Are you campaigning now, or do you feel the need, or tell us what you're doing?
I haven't really started campaigning yet. That will start in earnest in about a month or so. Once we start with our parade programs, I will be sending out mailings to my constituents. But that's really when mine actually really kicks in.
Okay.
It's during the quote unquote parade season.
And will you do anything different than you did in 2024?
No, I don't have any, I really don't think I would do anything differently. My views on things haven't changed,
Okay.
and my love and passion for the community that I represent hasn't changed.
All right, very good. Now, I want you to help us understand county board, because working at the radio station, I just kind of tapped into it right when I was working there. But I just basically let people know that the board is responsible for adopting all ordinance for governor of DeKalb County, which laws are contained in the DeKalb County Code, establishing budget for several funds, as well as levying taxes, promulgating policies, rules, and regulations, and management of county operations. I had no idea you guys did all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
County's divided into 12 districts. We mentioned one member is elected from each district every 2 years. County board meets on the third Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock at the Gatheratorium at the center of Sycamore. Now, each member serves on 2 committees. That's what I asked you about that, Rhonda. Did you have a choice of the guys? I see you're on the Law and Justice Committee, right, in the Planning and Zoning Committee. Did you have a choice on that, or why'd you pick those?
Oh, we do have a choice.
Okay.
We don't always get our first choice. I was extremely fortunate to get both of my choices. I believe strongly in supporting law and justice. I want to make sure that our courts, our court systems, the county, the circuit clerk, and all of that is supported. We also deal with all kinds of court services, the public defender as well as the state's attorney. There are many, many aspects to the court that we do govern over. We also manage the sheriff's department and the coroner's office, as well as EMS. There's so many things associated with law and justice. And then planning and zoning. That's where I really have
that
a
little chart there.
Yeah.
I didn't know so much was going on. Yes.
There's a lot going on for a little county.
So tell me, so you join these committees. So is it like 4 or 5 people? And what does a committee look like? And what do you guys do? Do you meet separately from the
My committees, Law and Justice, meets on the last Monday of the month, and my Planning and Zoning Committee meets on the last Wednesday of the month.
Now, we had Sheriff Andy Sullivan here not too long ago, and I didn't realize every month he reports to you guys.
Yes,
So-
yes. He reports to Law and Justice. If there is something that we wish to have more information from him, give to the county board, then he will come to our committee of the whole and it makes himself available to answer further questions.
Because I know he had to go there. The reason we had him on was he was explaining the ICE, the policy towards ICE,
Correct.
and what they did. And and he went in front of the board, didn't he? Explain that and even went into some detail for you guys.
Yeah. Andy's we're very fortunate to have Andy as our sheriff. He's very fair. He's very diligent. He works so hard, and he has such a compassionate heart for the community. We're very fortunate to
I
have
totally
him.
agree. No argument here at all. Now, planning and zoning, I was worried about that because I saw an article in the Chronicle just the other day about somebody putting a landing strip or a airport strip right to the DeKalb and the King County lines. Do you guys in the committee, are you responsible for that?
Yeah.
Do you decide
Yeah.
whether that's going to happen or not? Or are you just a recommendation?
As a committee, we offer a recommendation.
Okay.
And then when it comes to the committee of the whole, they will ask us additional questions. They may or may not ask the applicant additional questions, and then the board ultimately votes yes or no. But it's a much bigger process than that because the applicant, in this case, also has to have a public hearing
Okay.
where members of the community, especially his neighbors, can weigh in.
If they may not want planes taken off in the back.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And this is a unique situation. It's just a private landing strip, and he has 2 antique planes.
Okay.
So it's for his own private use. He has no, there will be no building or anything like that erected on the property where the strip is. His planes will be towed to his property and stored on his actual property.
Okay.
Not near the landing strip. The only thing that most of the people will ever see, unless they witness the takeoff and landing, is a large pole that has a windsock on it. And it's a grass landing strip.
Is that a lengthy process? So when he went before the board and said, "This is what I want to do," what was the time frame to get that? Actually?
Oh, it could be months. 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, it's months because he has to make the application. He has to
All the paperwork.
all the paperwork. Yeah, all that has to be done, and then we have a public hearing, and then it comes to us, and then we ultimately take it to the board.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you're on the DeKalb County Rehab and Nursing Center. Oversight Board. Now, that's something kind of new, isn't it, Rhonda? When did that start? Yeah.
That started the year I came on the board. Prior to that, they had a different board with different rules, different concerns. When the
Test. Sorry about that little delay there. So obviously, we were talking about the DeKalb County Rehab and Nursing Center, and nobody's rooting for me, but it was operating at a loss for a while, right? Wasn't it?
Oh, yes, a very large deficit, very large deficit. But with
Then you had a company come in and wanted to buy it, and then they backed out. Is if I understand that correctly?
a company came in that wanted to buy it.
Thank goodness they reneged, though. Huh?
Well, yeah, the community really helped. The community really helped. And the county board ultimately decided it was not in our best interest to have them go forward.
Okay. Now, the big thing to me I can see is getting people there, getting people in the rehab center. And how are you guys marketing that? How are you doing? Is that part of your board committee to market that?
It's part of our committee, or at least it's part of our responsibility to ensure that there is somebody in place to market us. They have someone internally at the county home that does that. They meet with members of the various hospitals and public to, I don't want to say, well, we do advertise, but we try to get
Promote
the word out. We do promote, and we try to get as many people as we possibly can. Obviously, we cannot take them all because there are some people that need help, but we're not able to meet their needs. They might have a specific need that we are just not capable of meeting.
But again, if I had to do rehab, I think I'd want to go there because it's such
Oh.
a friendly, warm family kind of feel.
And our new wing, let me tell you, our new wing is truly state of the art. There is no other rehab wing in the county that even comes close to ours.
Very good. That's great. Well, that's wonderful. I can tell your passion is there with that place and that idea. And having gone there and met the people there, that's changed my tune completely. So one of the things came up, this is back in February 2026, Kelly Stafford from the Sycamore Township, founder of Oak and Acres Wildlife Center, was concerned about some cruelty to animals,
Yes.
citing the Illinois Human Care for Animals Act. Do you know about that? Tell us
Yeah.
about the shark, the showing animals respect and kindness. We're concerned about how some cattle were being treated in some of the local area here.
Yes, this is a very troubling and difficult situation. The activity that they are specifically speaking of happened several times on a property at the extreme northwestern portion of the county, which happens to fall in my district.
Okay.
It was the individual that held these events was charged with a crime.
Yes.
We laid out
And he was denied future permits for steer tailing events as well.
that will more than likely happen yet.
Okay.
Not because we wish to prevent any ethnic community to not have their own activities, but this particular individual was given chances. And we laid out with each event, we laid out rather stringent guidelines for them. We stated most recently that he must have a veterinarian on site at all times during the event. The animals, we listed several
Well, that's a great
things.
rule right there. Okay.
We listed several things that the animals must have been provided for. These all did not happen. He blatantly, for whatever reason, chose not to do that. And I'm praying that he will not be able to hold another event in our area at all. Not because I want to deny him, but because I want to deny anyone that chooses to willingly harm animals and disrespect the rules and regulations that they have been asked to
Well, it's great
follow.
that you're in that position because here's a woman who worked with animals yourself, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
you know about
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah.
the passion there comes through. That's great to know. And I just hit that randomly. Now, this was in 2024, and just so we go through this again, although, like you said, your feelings have not changed a lot till we learned that you're Republican. Now, we talked about the partisanship on the board. It really doesn't seem to be a huge factor there. Are you, Diane, are you always been a Republican? Or is
Yeah.
it- okay.
I think I was born conservative.
Okay.
My parents were always active politically, whether it was for helping a campaign or my father actually was an alderman for a brief period of time.
Okay.
And I think my parents always fostered a family atmosphere that allowed us to question and ask, and they offered their opinions, but they didn't say that their opinions were gospel.
Why? Because I said so, right?
Sometimes there would be a rule where they would say,
Because I said so.
because I said so. But their political views, they allowed us to form our own, and they offered us ways to find the answer, and I think that was really great.
That is really great. I bet the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
So we mentioned you were a retired farmer. That's great. Now, and then you didn't hold an office before. You're in Clare. The only famous person I know in Clare is Larry Forsberg. You know Larry
Yep.
Forsberg by chance?
Yep.
He's such a big mouth. I knew you know. Well, let's talk about your community involvement. I'm so impressed with it. You're St. John Lutheran Church in Sycamore. Do you know a Legion Auxiliary, Sycamore Moose Lodge, 1506, Sycamore Sportsman and Conservative Club, Kishwaukee Valley FNRA? What is that now, the FNRA?
Friends of the NRA.
Oh, Friends of the NRA. Okay.
And we host events where we gather a great deal of money, but it goes to promote the proper handling of firearms, storage of them, so on and so forth. But we promote the shooting sport of youth. And that is critical because shooting sports for youths, whether it's bow and arrow or air pistol or whatever, as they get older, they can progress to
Right.
bigger things. But it offers them the ability to focus on what is important in their life. It gives them an outlet. It offers them college scholarships. They can compete in state and national competitions, and we do have some that came out of the Sycamore Sportsman's Club that have competed nationally and qualified nationally. It also allows them the ability to compete on a collegiate level as well as in the Olympics.
And then also, what you say, with firearms in general, they have a respect, don't they? They
Yes.
learn to respect the firearm.
Yes, they learn to respect the firearm. They learn to respect what it is, should and always will be used for as far as they're concerned. It gives them, it does so much for the youth. It gives them the ability to focus, to concentrate, to block out all of the other noise and literally focus on what you're doing. And that can translate to their learning other things.
Sure.
Whether it's math or reading or whatever. It sort of teaches them to block out all of the noise that's around them.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, what is the DCRCC?
That's the DeKalb County Rehab and, I was secretary.
Oh, yeah,
That's a Republican Party.
that's right,
The
okay.
DeKalb County Republican
That's right,
Central
okay.
Committee. I am their secretary. I have been since the early 2000s.
And tell us about your husband, Steve. You guys married, 44, so was it 48 years now? Huh?
Yeah, 46.
Oh, 46, yeah.
46 years. He is,
He's smiling, Steve.
he's really a great guy. He came from, his family has always lived in the farming community, but his father and his family lived in Homewood.
Okay.
And my father-in-law was the chairman of the board of the Bremen Bank for many years until he retired from that and went full-time into farming. He never got out of farming his whole life. He's always been a farmer. But my husband came from a high school. Let's put it this way. My husband's graduating class had more people in it than my entire high school.
Is that right?
Yes, far more than my entire high school. Far more, about twice as many as my entire high school.
Now, and tell us about your lovely daughter, if you don't mind.
I have one daughter. She spent many years in the Kansas City area. She lived in Independence, but now she is living in Oregon.
Okay. Oh, beautiful out there. My sister's brother is out there right now. And you have 5 grandkids. Keep up.
Yep,
too,
I do.
don't you?
I have 5 grandkids. But that's what life is about.
All right, love it. Now, we're going to leave the taxes alone here, too. But again, we mentioned the rehab and nursing center. But the other one I want to get to is solar farms and
Yeah.
people talking about solar farms. Now, I've been in DeKalb County now for about 25 years, and I understand the appreciation for the farmland. And it's sad for me to see the farmland. We have the data center, another data center being built. Now we're going to have a truck stop as well. And what are your thoughts about farmland and solar power in particular, Rhonda?
I think that if you want solar, have solar. I think many farmers have gone to solar on their own property to produce power for their own
have their
use.
own
And I
source,
think
right?
that's great. I think it's wonderful. I think businesses should be able to do that. I think it's wonderful. I do believe that a farmer should be allowed to use his farmland as he so wishes. But I also believe that we have to walk a fine line because his neighbors need to be able to use their land as they so wish.
Right.
We had a very strong wind and solar as well as battery storage ordinance. Our ordinance in DeKalb County was so well constructed and crafted that it was used as a model for many, many, many counties throughout Illinois. And one of the things that I was most proud of in that ordinance was that it limited the amount of acres that could be devoted to wind and or solar or battery even
Okay.
in the county. And at various times, we were going to revisit that number if things were going well and the community seemed to be agreeable to it. We would have increased that.
Okay.
But we would have done it in a slow and managed pace. Unfortunately, in 2023, House Bill 4412 stripped every single county, except for Cook, but they stripped every single county in the state of Illinois from being able to regulate wind, solar, and battery.
Is that right?
Yes. They stripped that from county control, absolutely stripped it.
So that's all state control.
It's all state control. And quite frankly, I do not believe that my state government, I don't care who's running it, I do not believe that my state government has,
To tell you what to do. with your
yeah, and I don't think they have any idea what goes on in the various counties. DeKalb County is so different from Ogle County, and Ogle County is so different from Grundy and Stevenson and way down south to way up north. Lake County is vastly different than us. I don't know how they can decide what's best for all of the state when each county is so greatly different. And some counties want as much solar and wind as they can get. That's fine with them. But other counties do not wish to have
Right.
that much. And that should be their opportunity and their respect and their jurisdiction. And that's where my feelings lie with wind and solar. I think it should be up to the county.
And personally, what do you feel about with the solar and the farmland? Because obviously, DeKalb County, we have the best farmland
Yes.
in the country. And
Yes.
What are your thoughts about what that does to the farmland? Because my understanding is it doesn't really hurt it, I've been told, and then they got to put some native plants underneath that let them grow underneath there. And what are your thoughts about it?
I think it's a pretty shiny object. And I truly hope that that is what happens. I don't always hold out great faith because they've also told us that, they can withstand tornado force and things of that nature when we have just recently in the last month seen large solar fields all over the area that have been decimated by wind. And in some cases, they're still lying
On the sides,
on the ground. And they say they will come in within 24 to 48 hours to repair a solar panel that's down. Well, I will happily admit that I am wrong if that does happen.
Yes.
I truly will be happy if they can do that.
Or
But
just
I
the
don't hold
irony
it
of the
up.
wind. Running
Yeah,
so
I know. And those big wind turbines, they have massive amounts of oil in them. Massive amounts of oil in them. And when they fail, that oil goes everywhere.
Is that right? I never knew that.
Yes. When they fail, that oil goes everywhere.
Wow. That's good to know. Well, thank you for your thoughts on that. And then finally, last thing I want to ask you about is Potawatomi. And of course, the Potawatomi out there, they've now reclaimed that land. And what are your thoughts about that in terms of where that should go? And the grandfather clause, right? Because I know the people that own the restaurant out there and then the boat rental, that's kind of grandfathered in, right?
I believe it is. There are a lot of pros.
moving parts to
Yeah,
it.
there are a lot of moving parts to that. Federally, that is federal land. It should be federal land. It should be regulated by the federal government. The federal government needs to get off their butts and truly do something that is meaningful for the Native population. The state of Illinois, I think, kind of got ahead of themselves and decided they were going to do it. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
Best left to the feds, you think?
Well, they need to really, it is under their department.
Right.
The Department of the Interior. It is under their control, and they really do need to get off their butts and decide what's best. And that goes, this is not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. This has been going on far too long for many, 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 many years. And the Potawatomi should, if they truly are direct descendants of Chief Chabonet, then they should be able to reclaim it
All right. very good.
within some reason. But even then, they will still need our county support.
Right.
They're going to still need to use our fire departments, our water, our snow plows, so on and so forth. I mean, there's so many things that the county will have to come into an agreement with them
Right.
to make this truly work.
All right, very good. Very well put. And then finally, now you have a new boss, right? Now, we met Ruth Kudla, if I'm saying that correctly?
Yes.
And tell us about Ruth, and what do you know about her, and are you going to be able to work together?
I think so. She's new to the process, so I have decided I'm going to give her space
Okay.
and not butt in. But I've opted to sort of give her space and allow her to figure out how to do things without too much of my opinion coming
Okay.
in. That's just how I feel.
I
Others
appreciate
may feel differently, but I am looking forward to working with her, and she is going to be a great part of our county board business. I mean, and also she serves at the pleasure of the county board.
Okay.
So she has to report to us.
Now, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I just saw recently where she mentioned that she'd like to have an assistant to the tune of about $90,000, but to take care of a lot of the administrative stuff. Do you have any thoughts on that, or I know it's very early to even say anything about that?
It is very early to say anything about that. Personally, I would like to see every department in our county be fully staffed. Our county is very lean. We do a lot of things with few people and with a small amount of money. I would love to see every single person in the county receive proper pay and have proper staffing. So I'm not sure how this is all going to play out.
Okay.
I really am not sure how it's all going to play out. Do I think she needs additional people in that office? Yes, I do.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. Again, it's a very tough question there, and I appreciate
It is a very tough
you
question.
Just not answered it all. I really appreciate that. We've been busy with Rhonda Henke. Again, she's running for District Number 1 seat in the DeKalb County Board. How can we learn more about you, Rhonda? How can we learn about you? Do we have a website yet? Are we doing that yet, or no?
Not really. I don't have a political website.
Okay.
My personal Facebook pages and things are just mostly pictures of my dog and farming life in general. I truly try not to be too political online because I don't represent just Republicans.
That's a good point.
A lot of my constituents are not Republicans. Some are total independents and will flip both ways. But I try real hard to be respectful of others' opinions. I am a strong conservative, and I will always choose conservative over spending willy-nilly and giving everybody what they want. I will always be on the conservative side of that.
Okay.
But I'm open to anyone's ideas and listening. I find that's how I grow and learn, is by listening to other people's opinions. Whether I think those opinions are right or not is not relevant. I still can learn something from them.
And what about your opponent, Fred Douglas? How much do you know about him? And
I don't know much at all about Mr. Hall.
Okay, Mr. Hall, pardon me.
Yeah, Mr. Hall, other than the Hall family is has roots deep in the community.
Well, I think it's neat that you were a farmer and you're working with farmers now, and because you know where they're coming from, especially working with the animals. So that's great. So, Ruth, Rhonda, I want to thank you so much for your time today. We wish you best of luck, and hopefully, would you be willing to have a little one-on-one with you and Fred, do a little
Yeah.
debate action?
Yes, I would.
That would be great. All right, Fred said he would do the same thing. I just wondered. Rhonda Henke has been our guest here. Rhonda, thank you so much for your time today.
You're very welcome, sir.
And that's Cindy Ryan Unleashed podcast number 52.